Alrighty. That's it.
Got it?
Yep.
Alright.
Heading in?
Yeah, I'll be back out in a little bit.
Alright.
Go move that stuff in the front.
Alrighty. What's going on, guys? I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Welcome back to another episode of Lawn Fires, where the fires are hot, the lawns are green, and the questions are engaging. Welcome back to another episode of this Lawn Fire show. So for those of you guys who are new here, basically what this is, it's a weekly live show that I typically like to do on Friday nights around 5, 6 p.m. In my region. Got a little wind tonight, so I gotta be careful. I typically like to do this show Friday nights, 5 to 6 p.m. But as you can see, we're a little later than normal. I usually start these around 6, and I really got held back. I was at the store today, actually doing a little bit of shopping for a project I'm going to be doing here at my uncle's house. That's where I'm at right now. And I'm actually spending the night here because tomorrow morning I'm going to get up, and I have tons and tons of projects to do around here. And I'm hoping to get all that done around 10 or 11 a.m. So it's going to be like a really early start tomorrow to get all this stuff done. So I figured what I would do in the meantime while I'm here is I would do a good hour's worth of lawn fires and just, answer your questions. So I think we're good now, so I can sit down. I gotta say, this is actually a little different than my setup. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. I typically sit in my driveway. I have this fire pit set up right in front of me, and then I have a side table, all sorts of stuff. But it's a little different tonight. I don't have the same tools that I usually have, like my little poker stick. I don't have that tonight, so it's going to be a little challenging to keep this fire going. But we're going to do it anyway. So let's go ahead and get into the questions. Lambert, what's up, Jake? What are the temps there this afternoon? The temps here this afternoon, I'd say they're in about the 70s, 60s range, really. Right now, I'd say it feels about like high 50s maybe because we're at night. But it's starting to get really cool up here, and we're starting to get a little bit of rain. So, yeah, awesome. And then, let's see. RSS. Yeah, Jake is really late tonight. I apologize about that. It changed to another hour. Manu, what's up, brother? How you doing? This chat is so quiet tonight. Okay, now we got some people coming in. All right. Yeah, what's up, Manu TV? How you doing, brother? Welcome to the show. It's a little quiet here, I gotta say. Didn't plan for it to be this quiet. Also didn't plan to start this late. But we're making it happen. Oh, I'm pretty tired. Alright, now that's starting to spark up. Can't hear you, only the fire crackling and what? Oh, God. Here, let me see if I can move this a little closer so you can hear me. All right. How's that? Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me better? Just tell me in the comments. Can you guys hear me a bit better over here? All right, better? Yeah, it is time for some new pants. It is time for some new pants, Juan. These things are pretty torn up. I beat them up the other day when I was filming a video of some boxing something. And I was doing a lot of kneeling or whatever, and then it just ripped the pants. By the way, I apologize for my low energy level. I'm a little out of it tonight. I'm pretty tired. It's been a while. That is a crackling fire. Yeah, it is. It's dry wood right there. God. Ooh. Maybe we can move this just a bit. Oh yeah. These flames are just
You alright?
yeah.
Start yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just had to move to the left because we moved to the left because the fire flames are blowing.
Oh yeah, the wind is vicious today.
Yeah.
Here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You all squared away now, bud?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Brad Rohrbacher. What's up, Jake? How late is it? Too late to seed some turf type 12 fescue, Kentucky bluegrass in northern Ohio, Indiana. Brad Rohrbacher, I'm gonna assume that you're in the same boat that I am, and that you've checked your soil temperatures. If you haven't, I highly recommend you go back and watch my most recent video on the channel where I talked about how to time grass seed. Because one of the things I talked about in there was how to correctly time your grass seed. And one of the things I talked about in there was using the greencast tool as a way to gauge when the perfect time to put your grass seed down is. And the way I did that was I showed you guys what you need to do is you need to figure out that one day when soil temperatures hit 70 degrees, and then what you need to figure out is when your soil temperatures will typically hit 55 degrees. And then in conjunction to that, I also told you that you want to make sure that you have a 45-day interval in between those two dates, because in that way, if you have that much time, you will give your lawn seed enough time to germinate, establish, and harden off before that first start of frost. I highly recommend you go watch that video if you haven't. Is there a concern when applying pre-emergent spring, fall, and doing spring-fall cleanups? That's a good question, Eric. To be honest with you, I have no idea, but I guess the best advice I could give to you is that any physical disturbances that you're going to give the lawn, I would probably do that prior to your fall pre-emergent. But what I would assume is that if you put down your pre-emergent and you water it in good half inch like it's recommended, then I guarantee over time you really wouldn't have to worry about it with the leaf cleanup you're going to do, because if anything, it's just going to be minor traffic, kind of like mowing the lawn weekly. So I wouldn't worry too much there. Brad Warbacker. What's up, Jake? After overseeding, do you first pick? What is that? Oh, Juan Perez. I just overseeded, first time ever. I'm watering constantly. Is there such a thing as too much water? Juan Perez, there is when we're talking about watering your lawn in the summertime. Like we often tell you that you want to water your lawn 3 times a week and you want to do that a half inch each time. And the reason we recommend that is because number one, you want to make sure that you're watering the lawn deep so that the water can get down into the root zone, thus encourage deeper root growth to go down. And then the second reason you want to do it infrequent, and then the second part of that infrequent, you want to do it 2-3 days out of the week, maybe even 4, depending on the severity of your lawn. And the reason I recommend you do that is because your lawn is going to dry out, is because you want to allow your lawn a little bit of time to dry out. Because one thing that can happen is when you water your lawn, you can actually oversaturate it, and that can cause a lot of nutrients to be flushed out of the soil immediately. So you want to make sure that while you are watering regularly in the summertime, you actually want to make sure that you have a couple day intervals in between your watering. So if you're doing 3 times a week, like I always talk about, you want to do a half inch each time. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is typically when I would do it, because in that way you're going to give the lawn a 2-day interval to actually dry out. And then in conjunction to that, when we're talking about aerate and seeding, it's a good idea to actually take your watering up a little bit and maybe spread it out a little bit more. So to explain what I mean by that, what I recommend you do there is instead of watering 3 times a week, half inch each time, like I always talk about, I recommend watering more like 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, evening, and I recommend that you do that. 20 minutes each time you water. So that's going to be about an hour a day that the sprinklers are running. Now, I will touch more on this in a video that I will be doing in a couple of weeks here called How to Water Your Seeds, so make sure you stay tuned for that if you haven't. We're going to talk all about the fundamentals to watering your seeds so that you can get the most out of your investment with the time that you put into it. So I hope that answered your question, Juan. If you have any more, please feel free to ask. That's what I'm here for. Salvador Ramirez. Hey, bro. In the 2-week span, my lawn made a great recovery with the BioStim pack, but weeds are taking over, clover and dandelion. Should I aerate or put down a pre-emergent? Well, if I'm going to be honest with you, Salvador, most of the pre-emergents that we're marketing towards homeowners, those are more going to be geared towards the grassy type weeds like the crabgrass and the foxtail, not so much the dandelions and the clover. So what I would do is if the dandelions and the clover, if they're in the lawn, they're intermittently throughout, but they're not too bad to a point where they're taking over the lawn entirely, then that's where I would go ahead and make the decision to just go ahead and aerate and overseed and let that existing grass that's there and when doing that, push the existing grass that's there and also slowly thicken up the lawn so that it can start to compete with those weeds as time goes on. Make sense? Bill Perrault, that's how I pronounce your name, is the best way to eradicate, what is the best way to eradicate bent grass? Just to pull it out or spray? Well, Bill, I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea because I've never encountered that problem on my lawn, nor have I ever treated for it. So, to be honest with you, I can't help you much there, but anybody in the chat, if you'd like to help out my buddy John here, I'd really appreciate it. Or John, if you want, you could also email me. I'll put my email here in the chat box. Email me saying, hi, Jake, this is... Say, hi, Jake, this is... whatever your name is. See, I'm terrible with names. Gmail.com. Yeah, just shoot me an email, Bill, and I'll get back to you. Now, real quick, actually, it just occurred to me, and I've been hearing this a lot in the community. I think a really great way to control bent grass would be tenacity. Now, don't take my word for that. I highly recommend you read the label on tenacity, but for those of you guys who don't know what tenacity is, it's a preventative herbicide that you can put on the lawn that'll also allow you to aerate and overseed, as it will not harm your seed that you just put down. So it's a really nice product that allows you to do that. But we typically don't recommend it for a typical pre-emergent program, because what can happen is for a typical pre-emergent program, because the residual is not long enough. In fact, you only get about 6 weeks of residual out of that, and because of that, you have to apply more often, which means you have to spend more money. So to be honest with you guys, that's why I highly recommend, if you're going to aerate and overseed versus putting down a pre-emergent, I recommend you make a decision, one versus the other. I recommend making a decision, one versus the other. Now, if you do want to go ahead and use the tenacity, but by all means, you're more than welcome to. Who am I to stop you? I just figured I would throw that out there, so that way you guys can understand that. So that way you can understand why most people don't really use tenacity. But anyway, back to what Bill was saying here. I believe the best way to get rid of bent grass in the lawn would be just to spray it with tenacity. Now again, whatever tenacity you get, whether it's liquid tenacity or granular tenacity at the store, I believe you can get Scott's formulation. I believe you can get a Scott's formulation that's a weed preventer with seed, a weed preventer that allows you to seed 2%. I believe that's what it's called. But anyway, you want to go to the store and get some of that, and I promise you that should take care of your bent grass. But again, don't take my word for it. Do your research. Epsilon 6. Hello from Little Rock, Arkansas. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. John Campo, what's the best way to get rid of leaf spot? John Campbell, there are 2 different ways that you can get rid of leaf spot. Number 1 is to go with a simple fungicide application. You do that, it should clear up within a week. But if you're not willing to do that, I guess the cheaper route to go would be to actually put down a high nitrogen fertilizer, like I've talked about before. Common diseases like lawn rust, they often result in the lawn from lack of adequate nitrogen. So one way to compensate for that would be to just hammer the lawn with 3/4 pound of nitrogen. I believe you can get that from the Step 3 product over at Scott's. Or really, in fact, you can get the nitrogen wherever you want. You can even get it nowadays from any synthetic fertilizer that you find. You can get about 3/4 pound or a little bit more if you want to. Like one of my favorite products on the market to this day is going to be the X-Start. I think the X-Start will play a big part in that. So if you plan on doing any aeration and overseeding, I'd probably go ahead and put some X-Start on there, not only to stimulate the growth of the new seed, but it'll also give the lawn a dose of nitrogen, about 3/4 pound at the high rate of 9 pounds per thousand. That'll be enough to push any disease out that the lawn is going through, like the lawn rust. Want to aerate and overseed? But I have some crabgrass that I want gone. What to do? KGJ1119. Well, I guess my best suggestion for you would be, my best solution for you would be to just go ahead and aerate and overseed. Because what I want you to keep in mind is that over time, what's going to happen to the crabgrass is that it's going to eventually die out. And then you could stop any new seeds from germinating in the springtime with a pre-emergent. Because the way crabgrass works, for those of you guys who don't know, it's an annual, which means it comes back. It's an annual, which means that it, comes back one year, dies the next year, and it comes back one year, dies later in the year, and then it germinates from new seeds the next year. So it's really an interesting life cycle there of an annual. So what I would recommend you do on your part is just go ahead, aerate and overseed. Try and compete with what you can to get a little bit more root mass in there of the grass that you want. And then once you get to the springtime, that's where you can start thinking about more of a proactive strategy by putting down a pre-emergent to help prevent that. What's up, Jake? I'm in Colorado, and I overseeded the same Saturday as you did. Our problem is we had near 100-degree weather, so we will see if it survived. But do we pick up our clippings? That's a great question, Francisco. As I mentioned before in the video I did all about the mow down, I actually did pick up some clippings in the end, but that was only because I had a lot of clumps that came from mowing it low. Other than that, once I get to the 2 to 3 week mark, I'm not actually going to bother bagging it, to be honest with you guys. I'm not actually going to bag it. I'm just going to go ahead and mow it and mulch it down, because to be honest with you guys, I gave the lawn a ton of nitrogen to help stimulate its growth pattern. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm recycling that and putting that back into the ground so that it can be utilized even further, thus extend the use of that nitrogen. So if I were you and you're going to wait 2 weeks not to mow, don't worry about mulching or bagging. Pick one or the other. But ideally, I'd want to go ahead and mulch those clippings back into the ground so that we can feed more life that is to come out of that. Tenacity works great for crabgrass clover. Awesome, brother. Mini TV. Once soil temps hit 70 degrees, how long of a window do we have to get pre-emergent down? Well, Minu TV, it's exactly the same as the aeration and overseeding. You have from 70 all the way to 55, and as I've talked about before, if you measure using the Greencast tool, you want to look for that 45-day interval, just like with the grass seeding, right? Because you want to give yourself enough time. That's it. You just want to give yourself enough time for that product to get down in the soil and start working. Can I use the biostimulant package at seeding? I plan to aerate, overseed, milo, and starter fertilizer tomorrow. Can I throw it on the biostimulant pack before spreading seed? You know what, Reginald Merritt? Do whatever you want, man. I'm telling you, you have so much flexibility with these products, and you really can't go wrong with whatever combination you want to go with. In fact, on this lawn here, where I'm actually going to be doing some seeding products tomorrow, this is my uncle's lawn. You can see he's in the chat right now saying, hey, who the hell's in my yard? It's me. He's in the window right now. Anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah. So go ahead and put the biostimulant pack down, because I promise you it's only going to help extend the utilization of the products you're putting down. Make sense? So go ahead and do that. Thanks, Brad. I have some tenacity. I'll spray it. What happens in the season? So what happens when the season is ending here soon in May? All right, sorry about that, brother. DB42. My lawn is as thick as it has ever been. Why would I want to seed or aerate when things look so good? Well, DB42, I understand what you're talking about, because as you've seen, I did mention that I was going to seed my lawn and the neighboring lawn, and as you guys have seen, it has a really thick stand of turf. But I guess the only reason I did it is because I wanted to experiment and see what happened. Plus, I wanted to get some newer varieties in there as my lawn's about 12 years old. Uh, I haven't had any new cultivars really put into it ever since it's been installed, so I figured a great way to kind of build the overall quality of it would just be to introduce some new cultivars in there that might be more tolerant to some of the problems that we're dealing with today. So that's really my reasoning behind that. And really, for lack of a better reason, I just want to have some fun. So that's why I'm doing that. What are you doing? Just chilling?
Just watching you.
All right, cool. Dylan, what's up, brother? How you doing? Matt Magarian, if that's how I pronounce your name. Looking to use Champion GQ Rye Blend or similar to my Renault, then overseed with KBG in the spring. I need my yard ready for a party October 19th. Otherwise, it would be a KBG blend. Good idea. Matt Margarine. So, like I said, when you do seed, I recommend you do it primarily in the fall, and I think you're dead on accurate about doing the perennial rye because the perennial ryegrass is going to have a much shorter germination period compared to the Kentucky bluegrass. And if I'm going to be honest with you, that second seeding in the spring, you can go ahead and do it if you want, but you have to stay committed with the watering, which if you shouldn't really be a problem for you if you do have the irrigation system that I showed you guys how to make, where you hook a timer up to your spigot, you run sprinklers all throughout the yard. If you have that, it shouldn't be a problem. But once you do it, it's going to be the opposite of the temperatures that I recommend in the fall. You guys remember in the video I mentioned last time, I said that you want to do it when soil temperatures hit 70 degrees, and then your window for your seeding is going to close when temperatures hit 55. But because you're going to do it in the spring here, it's going to be the opposite. You actually want to start when soil temperatures hit 55, and you want to make sure that the seed is fully germinated and established by 70 degrees. If you do that, I promise you should be fine. And along with that, make sure that you have a 45-day window. But then again, like I talk about for any beginners on here, I don't recommend spring seeding, but if you keep it irrigated every single day of the week, 3 times a day, you should be just fine. So yeah, Matt, I wish the best of luck to you, brother. In fact, I'd like to follow up with this. So if you want, you can email me here. I'll put my email here in the bottom because I would love to follow up on your progress with this project. But yeah, great idea, seeding with the rye. That'll germinate in about what, 7 to 10 days, and by the time day 30 rolls around, you'll be looking good. Here. You missed me up. Here, let me read your comment again. Sorry I missed it. Blades, any idea what that can be? What do you mean by that, Sandman? Well, I'll catch up with you in a minute. Hey Jake, love your videos. Keep up the great work. Brandon, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Mike R. Hey Jake, enjoying lawn fires while sitting at my fire table. You see what this show does? People literally sit at their own bonfires and watch this.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm the guy near you off 91st Pine Island with the extra orbit sprinklers. Hardly raking tomorrow, irrigation in right after that. Awesome, dude.
He lives he lives right down the street from us.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
If he's in Pine Island, they're right here behind us. He's literally right behind us.
Yeah, he wants to give me 2 more of those orbit sprinklers I bought.
Yeah, we're right here. If you come off where we live and go right back there, he lives right back behind those houses. That's all Pine Island.
Yeah, I knew you were close, but I forgot geographically where it was at. It's been a while. But yeah, man, I would like to meet up with you and get those sprinklers. Eric Bessarat. Where's your beer and cigars? Come on, dude. If I put down new seed, retracted. Hey Jake, how long should you wait before filling in bare spots after overseeding? long should you wait? Well, if I'm going to be honest with you, Roxanne, if you have any bare spots in the lawn, what I would do is I would just go ahead and put some seed in those areas if you haven't already. If you're not noticing something there, I would definitely get some seed there and make sure you're keeping that area wet. If you do that, you should be just fine. For a second, I thought you were talking about low spots. If you were, I was just going to say, hey, too late for that. At this point, I would just ride out the year with what you have, and then maybe next fall you could spend the time leveling that. But anyway. Ooh. You hit that with your fire stick?
Yep. I'm messing up your whole stream now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way.
All right. Yep. All right. I'm gonna fix your fire and I'm leaving you alone.
By the way, that's my uncle right there.
Hey.
He's the owner of the house.
Yeah, I'm better than the soberback.
He's a good host, I'll give him that.
Sorry about that, buddy.
No, it's all good.
I got this broken wing over here.
I got to add a little excitement to these shows.
Well.
All right.
All right.
Here, I'll pull that out a little.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm going in.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I just wanted to fix your fire.
Okay. Yeah, we only got like another 35 minutes. DB42, yes, you gave your reason for overseeding and aeration in your lawn. Not my question. My lawn looks great and thick. Looking for advice regarding my lawn. Is aeration and overseeding necessary? DB42, if your lawn, let me tell you something, brother. If your lawn is looking thick, then then there's no need to aerate and overseed it. It's almost like that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I only did it because I wanted to have a little fun, right? But just because I do something in my lawn, even though it's thick and established, doesn't mean that you have to. So if you want, though, what you can do is you can use this time to focus on pushing the existing grass that's there. And in the meantime, I recommend you do that by using the aerate product over at Green County Fertilizer. And the reason I recommend you do that is because the aerate product is going to help break bonds in the soil. It's going to open it up and allow better air, water, nutrient penetration to get into the soil. And along with that, it's also a great time to get your pre-emergent down so they can get a nice barrier to get you through the fall and prevent some of those winter annuals from coming up in the spring, like Poa annua and Poa trivialis. If I put down new seed, hang on. David Williams, if I put down new seed, no grass there, can I put microgreen and RGS plus? Yeah, man, by all means, go ahead and do it. It's only going to help. You mean the grass talk isn't enough to be exciting? Yeah, well, it gets a little repetitive after a while, so to have a little spontaneity in the show here and there makes it a little better. Let me fix that for you. But like I said, sorry if I'm a little out of my element today. Long day at school today, a little tired, and changing location, so it's a little different for me. Carbon X at the same time. Yeah, man, by all means. Go ahead and do it. It's only going to help. Talk Ferdy. I love that. I think John Perry came up with that one. That's a really good saying. I like that. Hey, Jake, planning to overseed my thin side in about a week. What type of grass should I seed with? I live near St. Louis. That's a tough one. I actually don't know specifically where you are in the map, but if I had to guess, in your area, if I had to guess, you might have more cool season grasses, maybe some warm season grasses here and there. But I guess a great variety, if you're looking to get results fast, would be perennial ryegrass. But if you're looking for something that's if you're looking to build an establishment of grass, like a really good baseline of lawn, then I highly recommend Kentucky bluegrass. Kentucky bluegrass is really good as it doesn't only grow up, but it also grows out and around, and it spreads via roots and rhizomes, and it only does that more and more the more you push it, right? So so definitely I would use Kentucky bluegrass for that. But keep in mind, it all depends on how long your seeding period is. As I mentioned in the last video, it's typically going to be about 5 or 6 weeks maximum. But anything smaller than that, you might want to consider seeding with perennial rye or tall fescue, as they do germinate pretty fast. Which, by the way, to be honest, tall fescue is a really great grass type too for where you're at, because you're a little leaning into the south there, so it's a little warmer climate from what I'm able to pick up, and because of that, I think Kentucky bluegrass and tall fescue would be really good for where you're at. You're a senior this year. Yes, Manal TV, I am a senior this year. Can't wait to get out of there. Just about everything except ryegrass can be done here in ATL, right? Is that ATL? Are you talking about Atlanta? You said STL. Seattle, right? See, I'm terrible at these freaking... Ah! You're talking about Seattle, right, Coven? I'll get back to you in a minute. Sandman's Dreamland. Hey, Jake, so I was saying that with this dirt of turf project I'm doing on my channel, I'm at day 6, 60% germination so far, but some of the grass, very little, is coming up white with red tips. That's interesting. Never heard of that before. Might be a reaction to the temperatures you're having. Like maybe it's a little cooler than the seeds used to, and it does that. Anyway, I wouldn't really worry about it. I just keep watering it like normal, and if the problem does, turn into more of a bigger problem, then get back to me, and we'll see what we can do for you. Thanks for the advice, Jake. No problem, Brandon. Thank you for your question. St. Louis, man. See, I'm terrible at that. I'm so sorry, Coven. But yeah, St. Louis, with where you're at, definitely Kentucky bluegrass and tall fescue. Those are the best cool season grasses that I can think of right now for your area. Have you used winter rye before? No, I haven't. Like I said, I've aerated my lawn so many times, but I've never overseeded it. I've never done a proper overseeding to it. I have seeded spots here and there, but never done a proper aeration. I missed how your project lawn that you were doing with Alan came out. Eric Besarov, it came out really good. In fact, I'm not, to be honest with you, Alan says we're done with it, but I'm not done with it. In fact, I plan on getting over there sometime in the next week or so. Gonna mess around with it a little bit. Put some Carbon X on it, maybe push it. Definitely seed in some bare areas, and start getting those areas filled in and thickened up. So yeah, that's all coming up here too as well. So we got a ton of fall content coming up here on the channel. Dylan Schmidt, I'll see you in a couple weeks, brother. I see many YouTubers doing lawn renovations, seedings, and ripping up their yards. Meanwhile, mine just looks green and happy. Thanks, Jake, for remembering some of us, just like Milo, and keep it simple. Yeah, DB, no problem. I try to appeal to everybody here. The DIY experience. Sandman, that is normal. Some starter fertilizer. Even state this can happen on the bag. All will be fine. Keep watering. Awesome DIY. Didn't even know that. Thanks for the insight. Helping my brother out here. Poisonous nut. What's up, breh? How you doing, breh? Breh? Ooh, it's getting a little quiet out here. I'll tell you what, I'm going to add another log to this fire. It's starting to get a little dark. Double dark, bruh. Look at how fast that wood is burning. That wood's been sitting back here for like a good year and a half. That's some good dry wood. That's some dry wood right there, man. Look at that. Yeah. Time to tell ghost stories. It was a dark and stormy night. Okay, maybe not so stormy, but it was a dark night. It was a dark night. There was a kid by the fire. Getting out some lawn chips. It's a nice little pit. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's my favorite one. Cat's awfully quiet now. Oh, it's a little chilly. I'm gonna warm up a little bit here. See if any new discussions open up while I'm sitting here, while I'm looking at you guys. It's a little cold. Your genius has silenced the room. How's that grass making out around that fire? Well, if I'm gonna be honest with you, I really don't care how it turns out because I'm gonna be seeding this lawn tomorrow. Stay tuned for more content coming up on this in a couple weeks. Jake, my front lawn looks weak and burnt from the summer. Is overseeding with the Kentucky Blue or Fescue a good idea? Well, by all means, go ahead. It's only gonna help. Any tips on my YouTube channel, Jake? Just keep creating, brother. Just keep creating. Triple down on your passion, as Gary Vee would say. But yeah, Jake, my front lawn looks weak and burnt. If you want to overseed it, by all means, go ahead. Perfect time to do it. Well, again, once you do it, you got to keep that seed watered. And as far as watering goes, as I talk about, watering your seed is actually going to be a little different compared to watering your lawn on a regular basis, because it's actually going to require you to water a little more often, but for less time. So I know that contradicts a lot of what I say about pushing deep roots and watering deep and infrequently, letting the lawn dry out in between cycles. But the idea here really is to keep the soil not so much wet, but moist, so that the seed has something to hold on to, and grab onto, so that it can start rooting into the soil, pushing deeper roots, and start growing. And then once we get a developed root system, that's when we could start moderating our irrigation and promote it to start pushing deeper roots by, number one, watering deep and infrequent, and number two, stimulating root growth with the biostimulant products like the RGS, the Aerate, and maybe some fertility products from the Greene County Next line, like the 1801 Green Punch, 002 Microgreen, all the good stuff there. So yeah, if your lawn's looking thin and burnt from the summer, by all means, seed it. Oh! Lucky that didn't burn me. We need a nickname for your uncle. Yeah. He calls himself the Public Enemy on Instagram. I guess if you wanted to, you could call my uncle Dillinger, John Dillinger. Thanks for all the advice, Brandon. No problem, brother. Thank you for your questions. Yeah, I almost had 1 minute. Yeah, well, what happens when you work hard? Yeah, I put another log on there.
Oh, I see. Got that sucker going.
Man, how long did this wood sit here? Like a year and a half?
That was from last summer, yeah.
I'm surprised.
My buddy lives down south. He cut down a bunch of trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you gotta go by my,
You're gonna burn my furniture.
not trying to, it's the freaking wind.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if you want some free wood, you gotta go where, my neighbor's dad is. He knows this guy who runs a tree farm, and they literally give away wood for free.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One of the guys in here said we need a nickname for you.
A nickname for
Yeah.
me?
We got Silverback from my dad. We just got to figure you out now.
Cat 2, I don't know.
Public enemy?
Oh, that's from my Instagram.
I was just telling him about that.
From my Instagram.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, I like John Dillinger.
Yeah. People got a kick out of that. Alan Austin, just seeded this week about 5 days ago. Should I hit it now with some RGS, humic, and aerate? Alan Austin, assuming that you probably did it with the seed starter pack or maybe an application of X-Start, you really shouldn't have to do anything to it for a solid 2.5 to 3 weeks. So what I would do is if you did put down the fertilizer with the seed, I would actually wait a good 2 or 3 weeks, and then that's when I would follow up with the second application of the seed starter pack or a second application of the 824-4 X-Start to help continue pushing that growth. But again, it's going to vary depending on whether you started. So if you haven't done anything, by all means, go ahead and do it. It's only going to help. Ask your uncle if he ever had perch and frog's pen. Oh yeah, if you ever had perch and frog legs at Phil Schmidt's in Hammond.
Have I ever had what?
Have you ever had
Perch and frog legs?
at Phil Schmidt's
Phil Schmidt's
in Hammond?
Is that a restaurant?
Yeah, I think so.
Or is that a person? I mean, I've had frog legs, yes. I've had perch. Phil Schmidt, I don't know him.
No, Phil Schmidt's is the name.
No, I got you. No, I don't believe so. Oh my God, this wind is brutal tonight.
I know. We got a decent amount for 8:30.
Take your time. You're like 10 steps from where you're sleeping. I am gonna turn this on you though here.
Oh, something's burned.
Yeah, I don't want these ash.
Yeah, I don't.
Burning up all these cushions.
That's fine. Where's Aiden tonight? I have no idea.
The furniture your father, the Silverback's trying to take from me.
What's he gonna do with it? He's already got a full set of furniture in the garage.
He's already been conning me because he tells me he wants to take it to your house.
We have enough furniture. We need to get rid of stuff.
He just wants the outside furniture.
He's already got it. Listen, he's still got Grandma's old coffee table
I bet.
from the sunroom. He's still got that thing. I did use Scott Starter. I have a couple bags of Carbon X. Well, Alan Austin, at that point, I wouldn't consider using the Carbon X. It's going to be a little too strong considering that you've already hit it with the Scott Starter. And I'm going to assume that, I really don't remember the analysis off the top of my head right now. I'll have to do a little research on my part. But the Scott Starter, I believe you get about 3/4 pound of nitrogen or more. But in that situation where you're just using a straight synthetic product like that, if you want to continue to extend the release of that and make nutrients more readily available and increase overall air, water, nutrient penetration, then by all means go ahead and spray it with those 3 products. It ain't gonna hurt a thing. If anything, like I always say, it's only gonna help. So just do it. Where is Aiden tonight? Sandman? I have no idea. In fact, I think he's in bed right now because I was texting with him earlier, and originally he was going to moderate tonight, but I guess I was a little too late for him. Alan Austin, glad I could help you, brother. Andy's Lawn Care and Outdoor Adventures. What's up, brother? How you doing? Happy Friday. Jake, thanks for all the great advice. Obsessed with the lawn now. Awesome, Scott. Glad I turned you on to that. Uh, Jake, you didn't feel like going to the Friday football game tonight? Aaron, listen, I wanted to. In fact, I have this buddy of mine in my neighborhood that I typically go with, but he just got really busy with work tonight, and I'm actually going to be swamped this weekend because I'm here tonight at my uncle's doing lawn fires because tomorrow morning I got to get up early. I got to seed this lawn. I got to fertilize it. I got all sorts of stuff I got to do here, and because of that, and also along with that, I got to get back to my house later tomorrow, and I got tons and tons of video that I have to finish shooting. In fact, I got a little giveaway. Got a little giveaway we're going to be announcing for the channel. I'm sure you guys are really going to like this, but yeah, my biggest thing tomorrow is I got to get this seeding done over here, and then after that I got to head home and I got to finish shooting the rest of my fall lawn care basics video, which is going to be part 2. And in that video we're going to touch on materials, like I talked about, materials, timing. Part 2 is going to be all about the materials that we're going to use, as well as how to properly select those materials. So all sorts of great content coming out there. Well, if it's the 8 and I'm thinking it's almost 10 p.m. his time. Yeah, it is. He's an hour ahead of me. This is my first summer taking care of my own lawn. What I found was the crazy growth of the grass, and I had to keep mowing. Is this a healthy sign or over fertilizing? Well, DB, at this point I just have to reevaluate what you've been putting down and how much. So, what products have you been putting down on your lawn? Jake, are you going to GIE this year? Aaron, you know it, brother. At this point, I go to GIE every year. So your best bet is just to assume I'm going anyway, because I've gone the last 3 years. This is my 4th year going, and at this point, it's a yearly tradition for me. I'm very religious about it. I go every year. So, by the way, real quick, while we're waiting for some comments to come in here, let me go ahead and talk about the GIE real quick. So, basically what the GIE Expo is it's the biggest lawn care landscape trade show, and it features everything from lawn care equipment to lawn fertility products, all the way over to software management. There's just so much over there that relates to the lawn care community that it reaches out to the broadest audience, whether you're a homeowner or a small business owner. So if you're really looking to learn a little bit more about the industry, as well as see what awesome tools are out there and meet some of your favorite YouTubers, I highly recommend the GIE Expo. Now, as far as information, I don't know the best website to go to. I believe it's giexpo.com. I believe it's giexpo.com. Tickets should be like $15 a person. I don't know. I haven't been on there in a while, but check it out. Get your tickets if you're going. I'll see you there. Jake, did you know that you should be using 93 octane gasoline for small engines? What fuel? What fuel type do you use? Unleaded, 87 octane. It's what I can afford for now. It's a little nippy out here tonight. Woo! This is nice. Humic lawn looks great, but boy does it grow. Well, DB42, that's natural, man. I mean, especially if you're as vigilant as we are when it comes to the lawn, right? If you're watering it regularly, if you're fertilizing it with 3/4 pound N with the Milorganite, that's going to do a whole lot by itself. And the fact that you're putting down products like the humic acid over at the Greene County Fertilizer from the Greene County Next Line, and then on top of that, maybe some RGS. I don't know what else you're putting out there really, but all I know is that what you're doing is you're making nutrients like you're making nutrients more available than they've ever been before, and you're also staying on top of it. So I'd assume the fact that your lawn is growing fast is a really good thing. It just shows that you're taking care of your lawn. But what I would recommend to you is, if it's getting to a point where the growth is out of control, if you can control it, I highly recommend increasing your mowing all the way to up to twice a week. If you do that, you mow like every 3 or 4 days as opposed to once a week, like every Saturday, then that'll make it easier for you to stay on top of it. Plus, it'll allow you to stay within the 1/3 rule, which is to not remove more than 1/3 of the grass blade's length in a single mowing. I know, I'm standing right here, but it's just so warm. I like it. I think the most call for 87 octane I've seen it. I think the most I've seen for 87 octane that I have heard to use high test. I think you can get away with 87. Better if you have an ethanol free source. Yeah, well, I don't think we have a whole lot of that around here in Indiana. Dylan, just start a YouTube channel. You don't need my permission, dude. Just do it. Come on. Why is everybody asking me for permission? Why does everybody need validation? Just do it, dude. Do what you want to do, man. Do what makes you happy. Got too many people who hate what they do. Got to start changing that. Don't use higher 87 octane fuel in small engines. Makes engines too hot, shorten life of it. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, so I'll let you guys settle that argument. Whew, this is so nice. All right. Jake, you're great and I'm a fan. Thanks, my lawn looks terrific, and it all started last winter watching your videos. Thank you, young man. DB, glad I could help you, brother. Thank you for the support. You're 100% right. Damn right, Dylan. Just start the channel, dude. Start the frickin' channel. Don't ask me for permission. Just do it. If you want to do something, do it. By the way, for those of you guys who are wondering who Dylan is, he's a little protege of mine. He's a young boy. I believe he's like, how old are you, Dylan, now? Like 7? And he's one of my neighbor's grandkids. He comes over every now and then, and when he comes over, him and I hang out. We're buds, and then every now and then we'll also get together and we'll do some lawn work together. I'll have him cut the yard, and to be honest, I have to admit I haven't been putting him in the videos much. In fact, I don't think I've ever put him in any videos of him and I working together, but that would be fun. Yeah, Dylan's 8. Exactly, Jake. That's why I shifted into turf management. I hate my job, but the channel and turf management has shifted my happiness to a whole new level. Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. In this day and age, it's all about the process, not so much the reward, right? Figure out how you can enjoy the process, then that way the reward won't mean that much. And then, on top of that, you love what you do. Like, that's how I feel every day about this YouTube channel. Like, I mean, it does get stressful, it gets overwhelming. Like, honestly, tonight, I felt so tired to a point where I didn't even want to do... I felt so tired where I almost didn't want to do an episode tonight because I was running around like a madman, but I still made time to do it because I enjoy it. Do what makes you happy, man. That's all I could say. Do what makes you happy. Jake started to love lawn care about 2 years ago when I watched Alan's videos and yours. Awesome, brother. Love hearing stories like that. I've been in one of your videos. Yeah, man, I think you were. It was a while ago, though. So, real quick, I'm actually here at my uncle's house, for those of you guys who are just tuning in here, and I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show this to you, but I'll try my best. Let me show you what we're working with here. Let's see if I can take this off for a second. Turn it around. Oh. All right. So this is the soil base that we're working with. This is what we're working with here. Let's see if I can find a better spot. It's right by the tripod. See this? This is how rock hard the soil is. So with all the videos I'm going to be doing tomorrow, we're going to talk about how to fix that and how to thicken up this lawn, because this lawn really could use a good thickening. It's a little thin. You'd see we got some areas right here that are just bare, right? Compacted soil. In fact, you guys remember the first video I did here. This area was nothing but straw and seed. And as you can see, some of the netting, here's some of the netting that was left over when the lawn was put in. See that? I don't know why they do this, honestly. I think they do it to hold it in place. But I'm going to be doing something similar tomorrow, but I'm going to do it with a product that's cheap, easy, and you can find it at pretty much any big box store. So make sure you stay tuned for that coming up. Again, this video won't be coming out this week, I don't think, because I have a ton of other fall lawn content I got to get out first. But I'll try and aim for like third week of September or something to get this out there. But anyway, this is tomorrow's project: is getting this ground softer and thickening up the overall, and just thickening up and improving the overall turf density back here, so that we can have something to work with. All right. Well, now that I've showed you that, let's go ahead and get back to it now. It's fun. I love doing these shows. You know why? Because there's so much that I don't share in the YouTube videos that it's just nice to have a little live show like this where I can go behind the scenes. How is Player? Player is doing good. So, real quick, for those of you guys who are watching here, Player, that's the name of my cat. So, I got this cat back in New Year 2018, and I've had him for a while, and I don't know. I guess the name Player just kicked because if there's one thing that my dad, for some reason, liked to call everybody in the household, not just me, like this dates all the way back to when he was a kid, he liked to call everybody Player for some reason. I don't know why. He must have listened to a lot of hip hop back in the day. Like Big Pun, Big E, those guys. Love them. I use my Time Master for most of my cuts. Have a Deere L110 for the quick mows. Any suggestion for using a Deere lawn tractor for those quick mows? Any advantages to that Deere lawn tractor? Let's see. If I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't have too much input on it, because I do have my own John Deere tractor at home, but keep in mind it is a much older model, so it is a little different than some of the models that they do make today. But if there is one thing that is different when it comes to comparing the tractor versus the push mower, it would be the height of cut. I don't know if you guys deal with this a lot, but one thing I come to find is that the height of cut with the height of cut with your tractor versus your regular push mower is actually a little bit lower. So if you're cutting at 4 inches with your tractor, that's actually going to range out to be like what, 3.5 or maybe 3.25 inches. So if you're looking to maintain a lawn at 4 inches, I honestly don't know how a lawn tractor is just tall enough for it, because what I've come to find is that on the tall fescue project I'm doing back at home, my next door neighbor, Megan, which used to be former residents of our YouTube founding father here, LCN, that lawn is tall fescue, and that lawn does really good at about like 4.5 to even 5 inches. But there were some quick cuts I did with it throughout the year, and I just did it recently on the channel, as you saw. Took it down to like 3.5 inches, and you could see in the video where I also showed some video of it earlier this week in my video where I talked about seed timing and all that. Just like a quick introduction clip. You guys saw it. It didn't look too good mowed low, but I also had to do that because I was preparing for my seeding that weekend. Advantage: nothing runs like a Deere. Dude, I like that. I should have just said that to begin with. I could have saved so much time.
Hurricane Dorian is providing with us with a cool breeze from the ocean, so the fire's feeling really good. Yeah, man. Nothing beats a fire. That's all I can say. In fact, you know what? Let's get some more wood on this frickin' thing. I'm sure my uncle will come out here in a minute. I'm sure my uncle will come out here in a minute and correct what my adjustments to the fire. A little critiquing, and we'll just do one at a time. If he wants to, he can come out here. How is the John Deere holding up at your grandma's house? Dude, it's actually holding up pretty good. It did break down a couple of times, but we managed to get it fixed. At one point, the thing was a little low on oil, so change the oil in there, now it runs like butter. But if there is one thing I've noticed with that tractor, as well as the past couple other tractors I've owned over the years, is that the mower deck doesn't cut evenly on those entry-level mowers for some reason. For some reason, the left side of the deck cuts lower than the right side. I don't know why that is. Maybe the deck's unlevel. I don't know. Maybe you guys could tell me if this is something you've experienced and what you've done to fix it, because I honestly have no idea. Sandman, thank you, brother. I appreciate your dedication. How do you mow lawns, dude? I do it with a tractor and a wagon. Tractor, wagon, with push mower and trimmers in the back. Those should have a self-leveler located under the seat for the deck. Are you talking about the D105? Because that's what my grandma has, and that's like the entry-level tractor. I don't know if they have that. It's a 2014, if that helps. This is beautiful. When was the last hit of Humic 12 in the lawn? You talking about my lawn, JP Show Pro? The last time I put Humic 12 on my lawn, I believe 3 weeks ago? Yeah, about 3 weeks ago. I did it 2 weeks prior to my seeding. Do you prefer physical aeration or next aerate? Andy's Lawn Care, to be honest with you, I kind of prefer the next aerate. Now let me tell you why. So, with mechanical aeration, while it is a good thing, so with mechanical and liquid aeration, they both pretty much serve the same purpose, right? You're opening up the ground so that you get more air, water, and nutrient penetration. But I think the fact that you have products like the liquid aerate that can open up the soil without bringing cores to the top, I think that can be quite beneficial in one way. And that one specific way that it can be beneficial is that you're not risking bringing any buried weed seeds that might have been in the ground for a while up to the top, or also you're also not risking bringing any soil life to the top. So what's nice about that product is that it'll help break the soil open. It'll increase air, water, nutrient penetration, just like mechanical aeration. So it'll do all of that without breaking the soil open. It'll do all of that without bringing those cores to the top, thus possibly risking weed seed germination that you wouldn't have gotten if you used the liquid. So that's my take on it. What part of Indiana do you live in? Brandon, I live in the northwest area, right near St. John Crown Point area. Alright, thank you. I mean, how do you go to other people's homes and mow lawns? Oh, it's simple, dude. It's so simple. I just drive a tractor around the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's your vehicle.
Yeah, that's my vehicle.
3 more weeks. I gotta ask a question. I don't know how many older gentlemen or men you have in your that watch your streams.
We got a few.
But a topic of conversation. Any of you older guys? I'm 36, but I remember as a kid there was a movie called Can't Buy Me Love. And that's exactly who Jake reminds me of, is Patrick Dempsey cutting the lawns as a kid. Any of you guys chime in as a topic of conversation? I want to know if you've seen the movie or not.
Let's see what they say.
Yeah, I'll stay out. I'll see.
Yeah, we got a few. Yeah, one guy said totally.
Yeah. Yep.
Mike Head, do you sterilize the deck after you mow others before you mow your lawn? Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, all the time. Because every time that I don't do it, I feel that I'm holding the risk of possibly bringing a foreign disease or something into my lawn that I wouldn't have if I just cleaned the deck. So I'm always sure to clean the deck whenever I can. Plus, to be honest with you guys, what I do to prevent that is I have multiple mowers at my house. I have 2 push mowers and the 1 John Deere that I've showed you guys. And what I've done is I've just categorized my mowers basically. I have one that I use for my lawn, and then I have another one that I use for my customer lawn. So I do wash them, but because I do, I distinguish them. Like I have my personal lawnmower versus my business mower. I really don't have to wash them as much or wash them every day like I used to when I only had 1 mower.
Need another water or no?
No, I'm good. How do you sterilize I don't know why, but I'm tempted to read the question in this voice. How do you sterilize the deck? How do you Alright, all kidding aside, how do you sterilize the deck after you mow others? How do you sterilize the deck? Well, pretty simple. I just pressure wash it. That's all I do. No soap, nothing. Patrick Dempsey. When are you going to drop her and go real mow like Nor and Connor Ward? Swordman? JP Show Pro. You know what? We'll have to consider that for next year. That would be awesome. Matt Michaels, have you put down a fall pre-emergent? Would now be a good time in Chicago? Matt Michaels, yeah, in fact, now's a great time. In fact, I'm actually going to be doing a video on the channel at some point too about fall pre-emergence, and one thing you'll hear me say is that finding the timing for fall pre-emergence is going to be the same as fall seeding, right? Once temperatures in the soil hit 70 degrees, then you know you're good. Just put the application down, water it in a good ½ inch, and you're good to go. That's it. You should be fine. Dirtface Jr. Hey, nice fire. Thanks, brother. One guy says I look like Patrick Dempsey too.
You're a fan, yeah? That's funny.
That's hilarious.
You've probably never seen the movie, have you, bud?
No.
No?
I have to. Now I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah, it's a good movie. You should watch it. It's an old school movie.
I love old schools.
Yeah, it's really good.
The DIY experiment, no kit on that D105, but keep moving. Meanwhile, piece of 2x4 is all you need. Set deck to 1.5 and use wood to set under deck. Make sure 1.5 readout. Use ½ inch, 1.5. Adjust veneer both sides and rear. Yeah, I'll remember that. DB42, with your tractor, do circles or take the time to do lines mowing back and forth. DB42, stripes all the way, dude, back and forth. Have you considered expanding services in 2020 for your business? Yes, and kind of yes. That's what I'm aiming for. But I need to make sure that I have everything in order. Once I get my truck and my trailer, I'll be good to go to start advertising in other areas around me. But at the same time, what I got to consider is how much I can take on by myself. Once I figure that out, then maybe we can see if I can hire some help, and then from there we can start growing even more. Scott Burlow, Jake, don't go low. Keep it long. I'll try. To be honest with you guys, though, I like the look of bluegrass when it's tall. I just love it, especially when you keep it when you keep it irrigated, it looks great. What's he doing in there?
That must be it. We must be wrapping up in a minute. Oh. It's a little chilly. No. Why would he put the lid on here? Whoa.
Because I'm trying to catch all them little embers flying off of there, goofball.
Well, now you gotta use a hook or something to get it off.
What's
like
that?
Now you gotta use that long stick or a hook to get it off.
Nah, I got strong hands.
Oh, whatever. He's watching the stream in the house.
You should have enough wood on there for now.
Yeah. Don't get me through. Gotta run. Nice chilling. See you next week. Awesome, brother. See ya. Just remember, all work and all play makes Jake a dull boy. All work and no play makes Jake a dull boy. That's funny. It was on Netflix a while back. Yeah, I'll have to watch that movie. I love old school classics. Like, one of my favorite old school classics is Caddyshack. I love that movie. One of my favorite characters in there, I'm sure as you guys can imagine, is Carl, the head greenskeeper. The head greenskeeper. I love that guy. Bill Murray, man. Classic. It's like I want to go sit on the couch, but it's so warm right here. It's like I can't even feel the fire. I'll sit here for a bit. How about Johnny Dangerously? Is that another one? I'll have to watch that one. Caddyshack. Yeah, man, I love Caddyshack. That's a great one. A little chilly out here. This fire's keeping me toasty. Alright. What does a fall pre-emergent do in the fall? Isn't it better to... Okay, this is a great question. Here, let me get back in my seat. Freaking smoke's blowing on my face. So, what does a fall pre-emergent do? Well, it does the same thing a spring pre-emergent does, which is to prevent the summer annuals like the crabgrass and the foxtail. The only difference being is that this one is more geared towards the winter annuals. So, more specifically, oh, thanks.
Welcome.
Someone's watching the stream right now.
I just heard you.
All right, that's better. So to answer your question, what does a fall pre-emergent do? As I mentioned before, spring pre-emergents, they're more aimed towards the summer annuals like the crabgrass and the foxtail, whereas the winter annuals are aimed more towards the winter annuals like the Poa annua and the Poa trivialis. So at the same time, so what I want you to think about here is that if you do decide to go with a pre-emergent route, you are going to get control on some of those nuisance weeds that do come in or problem grasses, whatever you want to call them at this point. You'll be able to get a grip on some of those if you have a really bad infestation of them every spring. So that's a good thing to consider. Ooh. Yeah, Matt Michaels. That's my favorite part. He's sitting in there with the clay figures or whatever, and then you see Milorganite just sitting in the background. That's crazy. I've seen Caddyshack like 50 times, and it took me a while to notice that. I'm like, hey, that's Milorganite. What do you think about the super low grass that Ryan and Connor do? Dude, I think that is freaking beautiful. If anything, I wish to do that on a section of my lawn someday. I'm probably not going to do the entire thing, but one day, I would like to do that at my house. Or a project lawn maybe. I think that would be awesome. Whew. The problem is that if I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a whole nother ball game for me, because then I got to start thinking about how level my ground is. I got to smooth out the ground. I got to start top dressing it with sand every year to make sure that it's level. All sorts of things. There's just so much that goes into a low cut lawn. I don't know if I'm willing to commit to it or not. So we'll have to figure that out. Jake, I'm about to dethatch and overseed tomorrow. I'm in New York, yet I still have crabgrass in the lawn. Will it cause a problem with germination and growth, or will mowing it to it? Hang on. I still have some crabgrass in the lawn. Will it cause growth problem with germination, or will it mowing it to 1 inch make them not an issue? Well, if you have any crabgrass in the lawn at this point, if it's not too bad, you can probably get away with just overseeding over top of it, knowing that the grass is going to come in. And then as we progress later into the season, and that first frost comes, that crabgrass is just going to die. And then from there, once you have a good stand of turf in there to add to the root mass, then what you could do in the springtime is you could start thinking about a pre-emergent to proactively go after that crabgrass before the new seedlings start to germinate. And as I've talked about before, that's typically going to be 45. That's typically going to be 55 degrees in the springtime when you want to think about pre-emergence. Missed most of the show. Are you thinking about real mowing, Lambert? Not anytime soon, but I'm considering it. It would make some great content for the channel. Add a little variety in there. I would like to do my lawn, my Kentucky bluegrass lawn, but the problem at hand is that with how good my lawn looks at 2.5, 3 inches, I don't know if I'm willing to sacrifice that. Like it looks so good. You know, I've gotten into a point where it looks beautiful. So I think what I might have to do is I might have to do some testing in my back lawn. Like maybe I'll have to take an area out of there and just start it from scratch and do some short mows back there. I think that would be interesting. Battle fungus and grubs lawn is very thin. Should I overseed at bag rate or do a little bit heavier? Well, if it's a little thin, you could do bag rate if you want. Now a little heavier, it's not going to hurt. Now, most grass seeds, they do have certain recommendations, because the last thing you want to do when overseeding is overcrowd, is heavier turf overcrowd, and then it gets to a point where it suffocates. Suffocating. So probably go at bag rate, but if you want to go a little heavier based on the situation, by all means go ahead. Cool season turf looks so awesome long. No need to mow low. Yeah, but Lambert, have you seen Connor Ward's lawn? It's freaking beautiful. But I get what you're saying, because it looks good, but the stripes don't stand out as much at the lower heights. So I understand what you're getting at there. In fact, bluegrass looks really good. The best bluegrass stripe set is 4 inches, because again, you have more blade, it's laying over more, and because of that, it just adds more contrast to it. So bluegrass looks awesome when you stripe it tall. So does fescue. I treated the crabgrass in the spring and still have it on my perimeter of the road. Any ideas on how to get rid of the roadside crabgrass survivors? DB42, your best bet at that point would be to spray a product called Conclorac. As I've mentioned before in my weed spraying videos, I often told you to go to the store and pick up any over-the-counter weed control that you could find. And then when you do that, I tell you to look for something that contains a small percentage of Conclorac. But at this point, the crabgrass is just so mature that small percentage of Conclorac isn't going to do it. I highly recommend that you go to the store. I highly recommend that you get something that contains a little higher percentage. Like one of my favorite products is actually going to be one that you could find on domyown.com. If you go on there and you type in QualiPro Conclorac 75DF, it's a professional type product packaged for homeowners. And what's nice about it is it's actually a little different, because it's a dry flowable. That's what DF stands for, and basically what that means is that it'll dissolve once you mix it. I should.
Yeah.
Didn't think of that.
Well, they don't pay you to think.
No, they don't.
They pay you to be the grunt.
Grab the iPad. That's more like it.
Yeah, give it more like that there.
So yeah, DB42, Conclorax 75DF, that's your best option. Brandon Campbell, when it comes to reseeding an area of lawn, should I use seed Superstore seed or something from Home Depot like Scott seed? This is a great question, Brandon. Now, if I'm going to be honest with you, and you're going to hear me talk about this in my video too, it doesn't really matter where you source your seed from, but what mostly matters are the active ingredients that are within that seed. To be more specific with what I mean by that, one thing you're going to hear me mention in that video as well is that it's important that you read the label, and one of the things I'm going to zone in on in there is going to be weed seed percentage or noxious weed seeds, right? Because basically what that tells you is what it says in the name, the percentage of weed seeds that are in the product. Now that can be a broad variety. It could be a broad variety of weeds, and that's often the biggest and the baddest. And I really don't know why they do that. I guess they do it because the weeds help. The weeds are what do really well in the shade. I have no idea why they do that. But anyway, what I would recommend to you is just read those labels, those small labels on the seed, and make sure that the weed seed percentage and the noxious weed seeds are say anything like 0%, like strictly 0% or none. Because what can happen is if you do get a grass seed that contains even the smallest percentage of weed seeds in there, that can equate to a lot of seeds on your lawn as you're broadcasting the seed evenly across. So I hope that makes sense. So if you are going to go with store-bought seed, especially if you're just doing an overseeding, which is where I would recommend anyway, then I just make sure that there's no weed seeds in there whatsoever. Now, on the other hand, if you are doing like a restoration or a renovation and you're starting over from scratch, I do recommend that you get something a little higher quality, which is where Seed Superstore varieties would come in, because you're starting your lawn off with a really great variety that's made for your situation. Thus, it's going to perform better in the long run. What do I do if I like mowing more than pulling weeds?
I think everybody likes mowing more than pulling weeds. That's a trick question?
This is our buddy Connor in here. He's so what do you mean by that, Connor? Do you mean like pulling weeds along the curb or just mowing over them? Or do you mean like pulling weeds from landscaping beds? Anyway, aside from that, Connor, how you doing, buddy? Haven't seen you in a while. When are you gonna come to Indiana and cut my project lawn, dude? Yeah. See, hand pulling in the beds.
Yeah. No, thank you.
I'm with you, dude. In fact, listen, I love mowing my lawn so much that my landscaping beds look like garbage. Listen, you come to my house, I promise you, I have some of the worst looking landscape beds in the world. But you and your wife are more than welcome to come down and redo my landscaping if you want. You can make a whole video series about it. DB42, I had trouble edging. It seems like my turf is too dry and the edger just bounces off. Any suggestions on edging? Need the turf moist. DB42, that'd probably be the best solution, because part of the reason you can't get through the soil is because it's dry and it's compacted. So anything you could do to soften it up or loosen it, like get it wet, that'd be a great idea.
All right, so I just got something for that. Because I remember I asked you about edging.
Yeah.
Remember early in the season I said, Jake, I really want to edge. It makes my yard pop. It makes it look really good.
Uh-huh.
I found out the key, because you see how hard my soil is, you already showed. This was all built on clay.
Yeah.
What I do as soon as that season started, where we're cutting,
Yeah.
I went out and I edged first. Once you get that first good edge, then it's just maintaining it.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed, at least. If that helps at all.
Yeah. Well, I guess what he's talking about is that maybe it's midsummer and he's trying to
Trying to do it now.
Yeah, he's trying to start off an edge or something. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah.
But his ground must be a little too dry. So what I would suggest to him is maybe water it a little bit and help soften that ground up. In fact, I would use this as an opportunity to also do an aeration and overseeding while you're at it. Now, I always say aeration and overseeding. I really don't aerate my lawn mechanically anymore, but I do use liquid. I do use liquid aeration products nowadays, like the Green County Next Aerate product. That's probably by far one of my favorites. But anyway, aside from that, use this as an opportunity to do an overseeding, because what you can do is you can water your lawn. You water your lawn 3 times a day, 20 minutes each time, morning, afternoon, evening. And while you're doing that, you'll slowly start to soften up the soil in that area, so it'll be easier to remove. At least that's the best thing I could think of. Don't take my word for it. I'm no expert in dealing with dry curbs. But I guess the best thing to do is just experiment, see what happens, right? There's really no way to go wrong, because in lawn care, that's really what it's about, right? Is trying new things out and seeing how they work out and learning from those things. Bruh, can you do a really good Chicago accent like Alan? Yeah, man, I could do it. I'm doing it right now. Hope that was good for you. Adam Yamas, the Bears. I didn't follow. Are they losing?
They lost last night, yeah.
Man.
They look pretty bad.
Yeah, I got too many buddies at school.
I know you don't have enough time to follow, I know that. But yeah, they looked pretty bad last night.
It's not that. I just don't care.
Yeah, well.
I'm not a big sports fanatic.
There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. The Chicago Bears, man. They haven't won since like '85. If you could recommend the best lawn care tool, I would really appreciate it. Best lawn care tool. I guess anything anything you get at the store that can pull the cords. I have no idea. Never used one. Yeah, now everybody's chipping in. The Bears.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna get off here at 10, so we got like 30 more minutes.
Alright, that's the last piece of wood we'll put on.
Alright. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Your uncle gave good advice about the edging early in the season. He's right, thanks. What grass is king? That's funny. Oh, what grass is king? Connor, you and I both know this. It's Kentucky bluegrass for the win, dude. It's just for where you and I are at in our climates, Kentucky bluegrass, man, nothing beats it, right? It looks good, it's double dark, and it feels awesome on the feet. Jake, have you heard anything about bowling being a big-time sport in Chicago? I go update all the time for tournaments. I have no idea. Not a big sports fanatic, but if you guys want to talk to me about golf, I could talk to you all day about that, because I used to play on the junior golf league when I was like 7 years old. Other than that, I'm not a big sports guy. Yeah, Connor, no problem, buddy. You and I, like I said, we know Kentucky bluegrass beats them all. Did you take golf lessons? No, dude. I absolutely sucked at golf, but I got better with time of just playing on the golf league, because the reason I mainly played on there was because I enjoyed golf as a kid, like a really young kid. I used to play with those toy golf clubs, and then as I got older, I wanted to get more involved. And luckily, my grandma was working at a country club at the time, and that's the exact same country club. I was able to get an exclusive, and I was able to start golfing there, so it was a lot of fun. How many truckloads of sand do I need in order to level my lawn? Mike R., you are asking the wrong guy, dude. If anything, I think Connor can answer this question better than I can. First off, how big is your lawn, dude? Because I think Connor might have some input for you. What?
Got some input for your question right there.
Which one? Which one?
Truckloads of sand to level his lawn.
Really?
So I did a, because I used to do asphalt concrete.
Yeah.
So I did a project at a friend's house from work last year. He bought a new home. Similar to my landscape, the company that built my house really messed it up. I mean, I got hills here. Jake can tell you guys. I mean, when he mows it, it's like a roller coaster. Long story short, wanted his yard leveled out. Asked me, hey man, you used to do dirt work, you used to do all this type of work.
Yeah.
What do you think? What we did is I went and I staked, I string lined, measured everything how I wanted it, put my marks on the ground. You could order your tons or whatever you want. There's a calculator on the internet. And you could order whatever you need according to the measurements of fill that you need to level out your yard. If that's what you're asking, to level out low spots, or if you're just, trying to re-level the whole yard. But string line works really well. Some lath, string line, tape measure, some paint. You'd be good to go.
Yeah.
Let me know if anybody else has different ideas on that. Just for me, doing dirt work for years is how we used to do it.
Right. You see, what's interesting about the industry now, though, is that everybody's using sand when they're trying to level low spots. Like Connor will even tell you, he uses sand in his Kentucky bluegrass lawn, and his lawn's located in Utah, and he deals with a lot of clay soil out there, but he top dresses his lawn with sand. And what's nice about sand is that when you get it wet, when it gets wet, it's solid. Well, I don't mean like it gets hard, but I mean like it's stationary. Once it gets wet, it stays put, and that's what's nice about it. But the disadvantages, as I mentioned about sand, is that nutrients can flow through really quickly. But luckily, you don't have to worry about that because that's not your primary soil. You have clay base underneath. Is that the Stanley Dirt guy? No, dude, that's my uncle. I'm at his house because I'm at his house because I'm staying the night here because tomorrow morning I'm getting up to do some fall lawn care projects around his lawn here. And so for those of you guys who don't know who Stan Dirt Monkey is, I know my uncle, he's in the house watching this right now. He has no idea who Stan Dirt Monkey is. He's probably like one of the biggest landscaping, hardscaping YouTubers in the industry here. And yeah, I think he's in his 40s, 50s, and he has a beard similar to my uncle's. That's pretty funny. That's an interesting observation, Lambert. Thanks for pointing that out. Let's see what we got. My lawn is a concrete skate park now. That's funny. Well, yeah, man, your lawn's like a half-inch tall. Connor, listen. What will it take? Connor, I want to know right now. What will it take to get me out to your house to cut your yard? What will it take? I will do it. I've always wanted to go to Utah. A plane ticket. All right, buddy. How about this? How about you fly me out and I'll have the money to you by the end of the month. Deal? And here's another good piece of advice. If I don't pay you the money, just know that I'm going to provide you a ton of value because I'm going to teach you some tips and tricks on how to be more efficient with your string trimming. Next summer, spring. Yeah, man, next summer, let's plan it because I'll be out of school for good. I mean, I'll probably take some college classes, but I won't be as packed as I am now. Jason Creel did a video showing how to take down a wasp nest with a string trimmer. Yeah, dude, I don't know if I could do that. Doing my seeding tomorrow. Any advice? I put my humic acid aerate down last week. No, man. Just make sure that just make sure that you put the seed down, right? Make sure you have a good consistent layer. And then on top of that, just make sure that you keep that seed wet afterwards. Because if there's one thing that seed doesn't like, it doesn't like to dry out. If you let it dry out, it's not going to germinate. I took down a wasp nest with fire. Jesus, guys. I'm going to have some of you guys come over and some nights and maybe maybe you guys could teach me a few things about that, because I'm afraid to go near a freaking wasp nest. You guys are crazy. Could be worse. Could be like my buddy who doesn't like cold air. Just a little bitch all the time. Like what? I have a buddy of mine who doesn't like when the room temperatures are cold. Me, I like it. Keeps me awake, keeps me working. But at night, when I want to go to sleep, I like it warm. Other than that, my buddy's just a little wussy. A little off topic, I know. I'm trying to break the ice. What are the sprayer deals? Well, Lambert1702, if you look in the description below of this live stream, you'll see that I've linked to the Sprayers Plus, and I left a couple coupon codes down there for you. And if you use the link down below, www.sprayersplus.com/ref/LawnKid, you can, and you use the coupon code GOElectric, you can actually get free shipping on whatever model that you want to purchase. So that's the deal. Take it or leave it. Can't believe I just said that. Take it or leave it. Alright. That's a good deal. Shipping is expensive. Yeah, man. Really good deal. And let me tell you, with these sprayers, you're getting what you pay for, man. You get really high quality units that will last you a lifetime. Like I've had my sprayers for well over a year and a half now, and I gotta say, they've even overwintered in my garage, and they still run like new. They run great. You were doing lawn comparisons in your backyard. How did the Milo do? DB42, to be honest with you guys, I really wasn't able to get a clear visual, at least right now, because of how freaking dry it's been, right? It's been so freaking hot and dry, and I have no irrigation in my backyard, so I kind of stopped test back there for a little bit because of how hot and dry it's been, and really I got to figure out irrigation for back there, because it gets so dry to a point where I can't fertilize it, and you know, I obviously can't water it because I spend all my time irrigating the front and sides. Sprayers at Lowe's worth anything? I mean, I'm not really sure. I haven't tried any out, but I might have to in one of the videos here, do a little comparison. On my second year, it's my second year with my sprayer, and other than me clogging it, it is awesome. Yeah, Mike Art, the Sprayers Plus, they're the real deal. Sorry, my nose is running. A little quiet. We've got about 20 more minutes. The Husqvarna 2-gallon at Lowe's is a rebranded Smith contractor. I'll have to look at that sprayer. What did you think of the cows and people riding their bikes on Connor's lawn? That broke my heart. Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. If that happened to me, I'd be so aggravated. They were just doing that to be stupid. But at the same time, that I gotta say, I actually admire how Connor handled that. He really brought empathy into it, because one of the things he mentioned was, hey man, you know, it was stupid, right? They shouldn't have done it, but hey, I was once a teenager, I did stupid shit. And the fact that he admit to that, I thought that was freaking awesome, Connor. So if you're watching this, Connor, that was great on your part, dude. Let's see if I can There we go. Got one of the batteries. What do we got? Brandon Campbell. David, I bought a sprayer from Home Depot and it stopped working after one use. That's interesting. That's interesting. Lambert 1702. Nice pump sprayer. I got one of their battery sprayers to go after the Bermuda grass. Can't wait to try it. I have a large wild Bermuda infestation. Heard that before. Jake, any hobbies besides lawn care? Brandon Campbell, I'm going to be honest with you. If they're... Probably not. But I do like editing videos a lot. As you guys can tell in the videos I've been putting out lately, I've really taken up my production value a lot. My videos, I'm starting to make them more cinematic. I'm trying to make them more... I'm trying to make them more dope, if you will. Whatever the best word is. I'm trying to make them more awesome. I'm trying to make them more cinematic. And I gotta say, I enjoy doing that. It's a little more advanced. It's a little bit advanced than what I'm used to, but it's a lot of fun. That's right, dope. Connor needs a looky-loo t-shirt. Yeah, he does, man. I love that. I love that catchphrase. Connor's got a lot of great catchphrases, man. Like, don't kid yourself, pal. That's my favorite one. Any Christmas light decoration plans yet? Lambert? I'm not sure. You know what? I do know that I'm definitely going to do my grandma's house again, and I'm doing my house for sure. Other than that, I don't know about any new ones. Maybe we can get some Christmas lights on my uncle's house. We'll have to see. WD-40 kills hives and weeds. Really? Dude, that's interesting. I'll have to try that. Do the kids in school think you're famous? Mike Head, I'll be honest, some of them do talk about me like I'm like that because I do have a big following. But at the end of the day, I just tell them, hey, like you guys, I'm just a regular guy. You know, I'm a regular guy, average Joe, just trying to make it happen, right? Just enjoying life. That's what I'm doing. I'm enjoying my life. I'm enjoying the process of what I do. So I try to never get a big head about it. Like when people compliment me and they say, hey Jake, we appreciate what you do. We love how passionate you are. You're probably the hardest working kid I've ever met. While that's all appreciative, it means a lot to me. At the same time, it's like I have to remind myself, like, hey dude, listen, this is all nice, but don't let it get to your head. You know, don't get complacent, because once you do that, that's when bad things start to happen. That's when content goes downhill. That's when my videos start suffering a little bit. So it's a mental game. It's a mental game for sure. You just got to keep telling yourself, like, hey, don't get complacent. Keep hustling. Brandon Campbell, do the kids make fun of you for doing lawn care or loving lawn care? Brandon Campbell, I wouldn't say they make fun of me, but I would say more like they just don't understand it. In fact, it goes back to something that my buddy Alan Hain was talking about a couple of weeks ago on his podcast, and that was the fact that, you know, your wife or your family or significant other, they just don't understand lawn care as good as we do. And to be honest, it's the same way at school, because, you know, at this point, kids are kids, man. Whether you like it or not, kids are going to be good, some are going to be bad. It is what it is, and you got to take the good with the bad, and at the end of the day, just remember who you are and what you like doing. Because I do have a lot of kids, you know, they try to compliment me here and there. They try to ask me how things are going, but at the same time, it's like some people, they just don't understand. They just don't understand. They don't understand how much I love lawn care. But if it were something more typical, like a sport or an activity that everybody participated in, then maybe people would understand it a little bit more. So I try to look for the good in it, man. It's not so much that it's not so much that people make fun of me nowadays, but it's the fact that they just don't understand what it is to love about lawn care until they actually get out and do it. Yeah, man, you know, Chris, I've been debating on that, but here's the thing. I'm going to be a kid till I'm at least 30, dude. Let's be real. Because at this point, I plan to work hard and play harder for a long time. A lot of those kids' parents probably trade their kid for you. Yeah. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I could be at the freaking high school football game right now, but I'm not because, number one, I had to do this show, and number two, well, I didn't have to, I wanted to, and number two, I got some projects I'm gonna be doing here with my uncle tomorrow. Like, I see a lot of potential in this lawn. You guys saw the video I did last time where I showed you guys how this lawn started off. The front was sodded, the back was seeded, and in that process, we had a lot of good grass come in, but over time, because I wasn't here to take care of it, and obviously, I didn't give my uncle any direction because I totally let this lawn slip away. It went downhill, but it didn't go downhill that much. It looks really, really good, and I have a lot of confidence that we get this lawn looking really good I have a feeling that we get this lawn looking really good by mid-October for sure. Screw the haters, they're just bugs in the windshield. You do you. That's right, brother. That's what I encourage everybody whoever comes across my path and they're struggling with trying to get out of they're struggling to get off the bandwagon train, or they're struggling to abandon conformality. I just tell them, dude, focus on you, because that's the only thing that matters. Jake, the kids at school are the same way. They don't understand what dedication is. Yeah, man, they don't. They're bums. Well, I mean, I can't really say that. I can't say that for a vast majority. I mean, there's some people out there who are just they're bums, or that's it. They just lay around all day. But some people, they just don't apply themselves. But I guarantee if they focused on that one thing that they like doing, their lives would turn around significantly. I irrigate here in Michigan, sandy soil. At one point do you start to cut back as we move into the fall? Let's see. So DB42, as I talked about, I typically don't cut back. In fact, I like to start irrigating a little bit more as I do go into seeding time. So you guys remember my summer irrigation cycle, as I talked about, is usually an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's usually an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of watering a week. No, wait a minute. It's 1.5 inches to 2 inches of water a week. And the reason I do that is because I want to water deep so that the roots will grow deep, and I also want to water infrequent so I can give the lawn time to dry out in between cycles. That way it's not oversaturated and I'm washing nutrients away. But once we get into the fall, it's a whole nother game. It's not so much about letting the lawn dry out and getting it deep wet, but it's more so about keeping the soil moist so that the new seed can grow. What's up?
Gotta play with your fire on again.
Poke to the ground.
Yeah.
I have no mixed great pattern. I have a no mixed great pattern hose and sprayer. Don't clog it all with Next products. Yeah, dude, those are really good. Be a kid as long as possible. Being an adult kind of sucks sometimes. I can agree. Like Chris, the fact being a kid, that the flexibility I had to spend that money on that irrigation system for you.
Oh, this kid. Every time Jacob takes me to, part of the reason my lawn looks the way it does is because of Jake. Every time he takes me to a place, I'm about to have a stroke with how much money he makes me spend. But Jake did do me a solid. We were just going to do some patchwork here tomorrow, and he wanted to do an irrigation system here. And Jake, I love you. I do appreciate you going out of your way to do that for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he'll have a video on that, so stay tuned for that one also.
Well, the reason I'm doing it is because at this point, with how the lawn's looking, it's somewhat thick, but we got a lot of bare spots. We got to keep them wet.
Yeah.
So, and if you miss a day of watering, which can happen, right? It's just reality. Then that's it, man.
I agree.
Got to keep it wet.
I've been fighting this for a long time, you know that.
And here's how I look at it. Because I paid for it, if he sells the house, I have a free irrigation system for my house.
I'm gonna pay you back.
No, you don't have to pay me
You
back.
came out of nowhere with that one.
Yeah, I spent. What did we spend? Like 200?
Couple $100.
Couple hundred, yeah. Gotta run. Love the content. Thank you for all the advice. Good night, Brendan. Thank you. Thank your uncle for being a great sidekick tonight. Yeah, I will.
His comedic relief.
in between
Yeah.
in between the tensions. Adam Yamas, if that's how I pronounce your name. That's awesome. I used to hang out with my uncle like that and enjoy. Have a great night, bro. I will. Thank you. Mike Head, they have horticulture classes at your school? No. That's the one. I gotta say that kind of insults me a little bit. They have everything but turf management classes in the school. They should. The problem is there's not a lot of lawn care kids in Indiana. So what are you doing in your uncle's lawn tomorrow? Well, as I showed you earlier in the stream here, he's got a pretty good thick stand of turf here, and albeit it's a little thin, a little compacted, and our main objective is to fix that. And the way we're going to do that is we're just going to overseed it, probably get some peat moss in there to help retain a little bit of moisture, and we're going to put together the JTLK style irrigation system to make sure that seed stays wet. So that's what's going on tomorrow. All right, we got a couple more minutes. We're almost at 10 o'clock, so if you guys have anything else you want to get out, fire away. I gotta say, this is a nice little setup back here.
See? You
Yeah.
guys want to talk about my furniture.
No,
See?
the best is when I was in the car with Grandma one day, and I was asking her, I'm like, why is this furniture out here? She's like, have you ever seen anything more ghetto?
Oh my lord, take it easy. There was an intention of putting a concrete pad in here that I haven't got around to doing yet.
It will happen.
Hey, I got that stuff for like $100. You can't beat it.
No.
Where else was I gonna put it?
So wait a minute. When I overseed over here tomorrow, what are we gonna do with all
We'll move this out of the way. Take it in the front. We'll put it in the garage anyway. Winter's coming.
Yeah, I would.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As they would say in Game of Thrones, winter's coming.
Yeah. I never got into that.
Game of Thrones?
No.
Oh, you're missing out. It's all over now.
I know. It's on Netflix. I could watch it.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
No, not yet. It's an HBO show.
Whatever happened to your dad's pal's house that you and... Oh. That you and LCM worked on. Looking good. DB42, yeah. In fact, that lawn, Alan and I, we're not... The part where him and I are working together, that's done. But I'm still going to get over there in the next few days or so, because I actually have some projects I want to do over there, because I got to say, in the last year, the lawn has gotten significantly thicker, especially that little next area that we were doing. That area, as you guys know, we had a couple setbacks, the seed washed away, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over there, and I'm going to show you guys how to seed bare spots, because one of the things I want to illustrate to you guys is some of the things I'm going to talk about in the fall lawn care basics. Like I'm going to talk about two different ways to hold your seed in place. Number one, if you're seeding like what I'm seeding today, you're going to want to use peat moss, and if you're seeding little bare spots intermittently throughout, then that's where the Patch Master comes in for Scott's. But again, you'll hear more about that in the video coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, other than that, I do plan on getting over to Rich. That's the homeowner's name. I do plan on getting over to Rich's house at some point in the next couple of weeks, because I do want to get some fall applications done and maybe another overseeding. I don't know. Just gonna have some fun with it. I gotta say though, like this entire journey, this entire journey of just doing Project Lawns over the past year and a half has been better than anything I've done on this channel. If there's something, I don't know what it is, but having all of these Project Lawns, like I've had, it's awesome. I love the fact that, because for one, it keeps the content fresh. Because what used to happen to me in the past before I had Project Lawns is every time, how do I say this? Every time I had to make a video at my house just on my lawn, I always ran out of content. I always ran into writer's block because I was only talking about one lawn. And over time, it just became too repetitive. But now that I have like 3 or 4 lawns that I could share with you guys, it's easier for me to keep the content going because I have different situations to show you. Like, for instance, my lawn that I'm going to show you, the LCN Lawn Revival, those are 2 lawns that are fully established and thick and looking good. All they really needed was a little bit of water, but I still took the time to overseed them just because I want to see what's going to happen, and just to show you guys that it doesn't hurt to overseed here and there. Even the thickest lawn could use some seed. And then on top of that, I got my uncle's lawn here. That's somewhat of a moderate thin type lawn. You'll see what I'm talking about tomorrow. It's moderately thick, but we just need to get it thicker, and we need to loosen up the soil so that we can encourage this grass to grow and spread even more. Next Friday is the 13th. You know what? I'm gonna stream on the 13th, bruh. I don't believe in that crap. I'm doing it. You know what though? I don't know if I might do Friday next week because I want to go to at least one football game. You guys know I've taken off a couple of weeks. Because I said I was going to a football game with a buddy. But what sucked is that with all those weeks I took off, we were never able to go because my buddy was always busy. So I hope that him and I can at least go to one freaking game. You know, I can get, as much as I love what I do, I gotta remember that I'm a kid, and I do want to get out and have a little R&R. You know what I'm saying? I want to go out to a football game. I want to go out and talk to some people, right? And most importantly, I want to go out and watch my old English teacher, who's also a football coach. I want to watch him scream his ass off because I've never seen him do it before. I hear that because when I'm talking about this guy, he's the type of guy who gets really loud in the classroom, but that's a whisper compared to what he's like on the field. I want to see this guy scream at the top of his freaking lungs. Mike Head, go to homecoming. Dude, I'm going to go for sure. It's my last one. Get a date, go to homecoming, enjoy it. Yeah, man. Yeah, Chris. The big fire. That's the next big thing we're going to be doing on the channel here. So, lawn fires, let's just say that this week we're going to start planning a really, really special episode of Lawn Fires. That's going to be coming out next Friday. Stay tuned. What happened with your backyard test, specifically the strip of Milo you put down prescribed Memorial Day? Never heard about results. DB42, I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of dropped that. And I kind of dropped that temporarily. And the reason I did that was because it was just getting to a point. It was just getting to a point where it was getting really hot, really dry, and I had no way to irrigate the back because I spent all my time on the front yard as far as irrigation goes. And I currently don't have a spigot back there, so I can't hook any zones up or an additional timer. So that's out of the question for now. So the backyard's completely unirrigated, and because of that, I haven't been fertilizing it, and that's why I haven't been really doing much back there. It's pretty much semi-dormant at this point. I'll bring my Jason mask. That's funny. That's great. All right. Anything else before we go? Oh yeah, one more thing. JTLK merch. I don't have any just yet, but that's going to be a project over the winter here. Is I want to get some. I want to get some merchandise made, and possibly I want to get a. I also want to get a good website going here for Jake the Lawn Kid. I want to get a place where I could sell all my merchandise. I could sell some of the products that I recommend, because honestly, I want to have my own sales outlet. I want to make a little more money, and it's not about the money, but it's the fact that I have the ability in this day and age to do what I love, and I get to make money in the process. So, heck yeah, man, I'm gonna take advantage of that. All right, guys, so with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end tonight's show right here. I just want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all of your viewership and dedication. It's what keeps these shows going and makes them really interesting and fun. So with that, I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. If I don't see you guys next time, your lawn is going to be dominated. See you later.